Hi, precious heart. Thank you for joining us for our weekly vlog. This week, we're going to talk about transcending our bad habits and our negative behavior patterns. These are behaviors that we were coerced into by our manipulative human egos. In many instances, these negative habits are still affecting us adversely, even though our egos are no longer in charge. In Vlog 4, I shared with you information being given to us by the Company of Heaven that reveals how we inadvertently created our fragmented and fear-based human ego. This aspect of our fallen consciousness has been a key factor in the painful situations we have been inflicting on ourselves for lifetimes. If you have not watched Vlog 4, please do, so that you will have a foundation for the sacred knowledge the beings of light want you to comprehend at this time. In 2010, after decades of work and innumerable activities of light that were victoriously accomplished through the unified efforts of embodied light workers and the Company of Heaven, a critical mass was reached on Earth that changed the lives of humanity forever. That event involved humanity en masse reaching a frequency of vibration that caused an unstoppable shift that enabled every person's I am presence to burst the paralyzing grip our human ego has had on our earthly bodies. For millennia, our human ego has held us in bondage and fought tooth and nail to convince us that our physical body is who we are and that the physical plane of Earth is all that exists. Our ego was terrified that if we remembered that we are multidimensional sons and daughters of God, we would reclaim our divine birthright and give dominion of our life back to our I Am presence. Our ego was afraid that if that happened, it would die and cease to exist. That is not an unfounded fear. Our ego developed that concern because for centuries, well-meaning religious teachers have inaccurately taught us that humanity is innately evil and that we are worthless sinners and worms in the dust. Unfortunately, we believed them, and we accepted the erroneous idea that the only way we could free ourselves from the evil aspect of our ego was to destroy it. Even now, there are schools of thought that are teaching that in order to become a spiritual being, one must suppress the ego through the mortification of the flesh. To try and accomplish that impossible feat, initiates have taken vows of celibacy and vows of poverty. They have even participated in self-flagellation and extreme fasting to try and eliminate the ego and separate themselves from that fallen consciousness. To the initiate's dismay, those futile battles actually empowered the ego and caused it to hold on tighter and to fight even harder to maintain its control. All efforts to suppress or eliminate our ego are futile, because we are one with all life, and there is no separation. Our ego is part of us, and we cannot move forward in the light without transforming and loving free that fragmented and fear-based aspect of our own consciousness. In 2010, awakening humanity reached a critical mass of that profound knowing. Collectively, with the assistance of every person's I Am presence and the Company of Heaven, we invoked a frequency of light from the heart of our Father, Mother, God that raised the vibration of our earthly bodies beyond the grasp of our human ego. With this powerful influx of light, the manipulative hold our human ego had on our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies was burst asunder. Once humanity en masse was freed from the paralyzing grip of our human ego, our I Am presence invoked Archangel Michael and his legions of power and protection to encapsulate our ego in an invincible force field of light that is known as Archangel Michael's ring pass not of God's first cause of perfection. This is a white circle of lightning that prevents anything that is not of the light from passing in or out of the circle. Only the light of God can pass through this force field of light. Once our ego was secured in this circle of light, our I Am presence inbreathed this aspect of our fallen consciousness into its heart flame. This is where our ego will remain until it voluntarily surrenders into the light. With every breath, our I Am presence is flooding our ego with our Father, Mother God's transfiguring divine love. Even though in many instances our ego was breathed into the heart flame of our I Am presence, kicking and screaming, slowly but surely, the divine love that our ego is being bathed in daily and hourly is softening its resistance. In the not too distant future, our ego will be permanently transformed and loved free. So, of course, the question is, if we were each freed from the manipulative control of our human ego in 2010, why are so many of us still acting out of those negative habits and obsolete behavior patterns? Well, that is the very thing that the beings of light in the realms of illumined truth want us to understand at this critical juncture in our ascension process. Our etheric body is known as the seat of all memory. Everything we have experienced through all of our earthly sojourns is recorded in our etheric body. That means that the memories of our human ego's devious schemes, deceptions, and self-obsessed behavior patterns are recorded in this vehicle. Since we are all creatures of habit, if we do not deliberately focus our attention on our I Am presence, it is very easy for us to just have a reflex response to our life situations that imitate our ego's past behavior. We respond in those obsolete but familiar ways because of our etheric memories and the simple fact that we are acting out in the same old way because it is the way we are used to doing things. In other words, it is just a habit, and not because our human ego is able to manipulate us into behaving that way anymore. Our human ego is no longer in control of our life. Now the beings of light want us to understand that even though that is the case, it is our responsibility to stop acting out of those old counterproductive habits. We have the absolute ability to correct this situation. But in order to do so, we need to discipline ourselves. It is very important for us to stay focused on our I Am presence and for us to be consciously present throughout the day. This may sound difficult, but it is easily accomplished by remembering that you are your I Am presence. By affirming that truth and taking the moment to feel aligned with your I Am presence before you respond to any situation in your life, you'll begin to clearly hear the still small voice of your I Am presence's inner guidance and experience your intuitive inner knowing in ways you were not able to when your human ego was in control. This is incredibly liberating. Your I Am presence has wonderful, innovative ideas and viable solutions for all of the challenges in your life. The guidance from your I Am presence is very practical and will always enhance your life and the lives of others. In my experience, it is impossible for a person to keep resisting this kind of positive and effective inner guidance. Consequently, even the most resistant person will sooner or later transcend the old habits of their human ego and begin to joyfully respond to the inner directives of their I Am presence. So to begin this process, before you respond the way you normally do to any situation in your life, align with your I Am presence by affirming, I am my I Am presence, and I am one with my Father, Mother, God. Then ask yourself, from this level of divine consciousness, how will I respond to this situation? How will I add to the light of the world through my thoughts, words, actions, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes in this instance? Then take a moment and listen to your heart. When you feel a sense of inner peace, respond to what you feel your I Am presence is intuitively guiding you to do. If you have any doubts, there is an easy test to be sure you are responding to the guidance of your I Am presence and not merely acting out of old habits from your human ego. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Is my response free from fear? Am I handling this situation in the most loving way? Does my response reflect the highest good for all concerned? If your answer is no to any of those questions, the guidance is not coming from your I Am presence. You are responding from your etheric records and the residual habits of your ego. Instead of continuing with your old habits, center yourself and ask your I Am presence for guidance again. Do this as many times as you need to until you are able to answer yes to all of those questions. So this week, be in the moment, stay aligned with your I Am presence, and pay attention to how you are responding to everything in your life. God bless you, and I look forward to being with you next week.